Great day, great night at the ballpark last night. Just a new chapter in the history of the rivalry between Mississippi State and Ole Miss was played last night.
All right, I'm going to leave it to you, but explain that a little bit. We know what the score was. We know the heartbreak. We know the joy of victory, et cetera, but paint that picture just a little bit more this morning, what happened last night.
Yeah, so I guess we could start with the fact that we got to start the game at 8 o'clock, which was incredible. That last game of the day, the first couple of days at the SEC tournament, so many times, that's a 9, 9:30, 10 o'clock start time that goes until well after midnight. So caught a little bit of a break there. We were on the show yesterday about what the crowd would be like. And I've just been to a lot of those Tuesday night games, and Haydad kind of disagreed with me. And I was like, I don't know, 5,000? And I thought that would be a pretty good crowd. It was packed last night, over 9,000 at the ball game. The atmosphere was really, really good. The weather was perfect. And you got a pitching matchup that you didn't know exactly what you were going to get. Brooks Auger started for Mississippi State. He had started 3 games this year, but had been kind of a really good bullpen arm for them as of late. And Riley Maddox got the start for Ole Miss, and he was going on rest, right? He started the Thursday game last week against Texas A&M, so he was going on just 4 days rest. So you really didn't know what you were going to get. And through 3 innings, neither pitcher had allowed a hit. There had been one base runner who was erased on a double play, and they had combined for 11 outs. And it had just gone like boom, boom, boom. Ole Miss finally got on the board in the 5th inning with a Will Furniss home run, hit it to deep right center field. Connor Hyzak, the center fielder for Mississippi State, made a great effort. Ball hits his glove and bounces over the wall. If it is glove, it goes out regardless, but it hits his glove and bounces over the wall. It's a 1-0 game. Couple of opportunities, not many though, for Ole Miss to add to the lead. Top of the 9th inning, Rebels get a leadoff walk, and they bunt the runner to base, and so you got a runner in scoring position with 1 out. Mississippi State plays it textbook. They walk Andrew Fisher to go first, second, and then they get a pop out and a strikeout to end it. So it's still a 1-0 game going to the bottom of the 9th inning. And then kind of the cardinal sin. Ole Miss was not able to cash in the top of the 9th, but they walked the leadoff man for Mississippi State in the bottom of the 9th. And then you got Dakota Hunter Hines coming to the plate for the Bulldogs. 2 just absolute studs. DJ strikes out, Dakota Jordan strikes out, and Hines hits an absolute rocket to first base. And it's fielded by Will Furniss. He steps on the 2 out, runner at third. That's the tying run in the ball game. And Connor Hyzak, the player, Paul, who had the ball, hit it as a go over the center field wall for Ole Miss's only run. He gets a center cut, 94 fastball, and did not, just an absolute rocket out of the ballpark, and the rest is history. Bulldogs win it 2-1. They get the walk win. Great show. Wow. It was just, it was. Yeah. If you're a baseball fan, it was everything you could ask for.
It really a memorable game to be remembered in 2 different ways by 2 different clubs. I understand that. Going forward now, what's next?
Ole Miss is done. Season is over for the Rebels. They finished the year 27-29. There will not be a postseason. Mike Bianco was asked after the game by, I think it was the reporter from the Clarion Ledger, if he expected to be back next year. His response is, you'll have to ask my boss that, but yes, I expect to be back. If he does, that'll be his 25th season as the head coach at Ole Miss. Mississippi State, they got more baseball to play. Certainly next week they will be playing baseball. The question is where, but in the more immediate, they have more baseball to play here in Hoover. So the Bulldogs had 17 SEC wins, but they had some bad non-conference losses this year, Paul. So their RPI and some of the strength of schedule stuff that the committee looks at, those numbers are not as good as maybe they should be. And so as to whether or not Mississippi State is going to be a host. 17 regular season SEC wins, plus a win in the Governor's Cup, which kind of counts as an SEC win, plus a win over last night. That would be 19. It feels if they're not really, really close to maybe one more win being enough to get them in that spot where there's more baseball at Dudy Noble. And certainly the easiest path to a super regional in Omaha playing at home as opposed to having to do it on the road.
Yeah. Richard, if there happens to be a change, when's the most logical time for that we'd get an announcement on that, as far as Ole Miss is concerned?
Next week. I don't think it's going to happen. And there are a lot of reasons. One, Ole Miss won a championship. Two, Mike Bianco is the most successful coach, the winningest coach in Ole Miss baseball history. Everything that Ole Miss baseball is kind of because of him. But you can also kind of set those things aside and say, yes, but the program has been invested in at a way that having a losing record in back-to-back years is not acceptable. So I understand that. The most realistic part of it is it's financially probably not feasible right now. There's some others. Chase Rebel, the rival site, has done some reporting that in terms of a buyout and what it would cost to make things, you're looking at over $7 million before you go and you pay for a new coach. And I don't know if you dived into it or not at all, but there's a lot of uncertainty in college athletics right now with some of the pending litigation that the AAA is that's going to have an effect at the local level on all the schools. And I think you're looking at significant money in the $20 million range in terms of reduced budget that Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and everybody else in the SEC will be dealing with. That just makes it a point where you're like, that's just too much money to spend with so much uncertainty financially right now.
Good point. And my expertise is not in sports, but in politics. And it would be an even worse time now as far as politics. Right on the heels of the announcement that the universities are increasing their tuition, it's not something people want to hear one way or the other. So, and I'm just, because I don't follow the inners of the college baseball as much as the pros, but has the last few years, especially for a coach who's been around for a long time, like Ole Miss, has the transfer portal changed like football as far as baseball is concerned, to where it's a different animal now than it was 2 or 3 years ago?
Without question. And you know, the transfer portal kind of giveth and taketh away, right? I mean, there's an opportunity to check hurry. And if you've got the resources to be able to do it, then it gives you hope. Look, Ole Miss was very in the transfer portal a year ago. And they're like Andrew Fisher, who was the best hitter on the team a year ago, transferred from Duke, but there were some guys that didn't pan out as well. Liam Cohen, who ultimately gave up the home run last night, has been the best starting Ole Miss this year. They used him, and he transferred to Coastal Carolina, but there were some other guys that didn't have as much success. You hear coaches talking about not just players, having them fit with what you're trying to do culturally, and hope that transition a lot of times from a smaller program to a bigger program is
yes,
it works.
Yes.